تذكرون وأن هذا صراطي مستقيم فاتبعوه ولا تتبعوا السبل فتفرق بكم عن سبيله ذلكم وصاكم به لعلكم تتقون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
محمد وآل محمد سلام.
Let's go through the translation. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Say, O Prophet, come, let me recite to you what your Lord has forbidden to you. Do not associate others with Him in worship. Do not fail to honor your parents. Do not kill your children for fear of poverty. We provide for you and for them. Do not come near indecencies, openly or secretly. Do not take a human life made sacred by Allah, except with legal right. This is what He has commanded you, so perhaps you will understand. And do not come near the wealth of the orphan unless intending to enhance it until they attain maturity. Give full measure and weigh with justice. We never require of any soul more than what it can afford. Whenever you speak, be just, even regarding a close relative, and fulfill your covenant with Allah. This is what He has commanded you, so perhaps you will be mindful. Indeed, that is my straight path. So follow it and do not follow other ways, for they will lead you away from His way. This is what He has commanded you, so perhaps you will be conscious of Allah. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Mu'mineen, we will recite a salam which takes this very famous line, live like Ali, die like Hussain. Just want to clarify that the correct line is always live like Ali, die like Ali, live like Hussain, die like Hussain. But we use this live like Ali, die like Hussain to emphasize aspects of the Ahlul Bayt's lives and the way in which they gave the ultimate sacrifice. Otherwise, as you know, awwaluna Muhammad wa akhiruna Muhammad wa awsatuna Muhammad wa kulluna Muhammad.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Oh, come, let us learn how to live like Ali, to live like Ali and to die like Hussain, to live as a servant of Allah alone, to struggle for justice until you are slain. Oh, come, let us learn how to live like Ali.
To live like Ali and to die like Hussain. To live as a servant of Allah alone. To struggle for justice until you are slain.
And inshallah, when this line repeats next time, you should join us. The gate of the city of knowledge, Ali, he learned from Muhammad and showed how to be.
The gate of the city of knowledge, Ali, he learned from Muhammad and showed how to be.
He learned from Muhammad and showed how to be. He died protecting that knowledge, Hussain. So teachings of prophets would not go
in vain.
Oh, come, let us learn how to live like Ali. To live like Ali
and to die like Hussain.
To live as a servant of Allah alone. To struggle for justice until you are slain. When no one would answer the call of a Nabi, the people would witness the sword of Ali.
When no one would answer the call of a Nabi, the people would witness the sword of Ali.
The people would witness the sword of Ali. And now, like a mountain before tyranny, standing alone is the fearless Hussain. Oh, come, let us learn how to live like Ali. Everyone, to live like Ali and to die like Hussain. To live as a servant of Allah alone. To struggle for justice
until you are slain.
He gave his zakat in ruku of salah, for such is the bounty of Mushkil Kusha.
He gave his zakat in ruku of salah, for such is the bounty of Mushkil Kusha.
For such is the bounty of Mushkil Kusha. And quenching the thirst of the army of Hur are sons of Ali and the sons of Hussain. Oh, come, let us learn how to live like Ali. Everyone, to live like Ali and to die like
Hussain.
To live as a servant of Allah alone. To struggle for justice until you are slain. So patiently waited the chosen Wasi to keep it united, the community.
So patiently waited the chosen Wasi to keep it united, the community.
To keep it united, the community. with 72 sacrifices and more. Oh, what can we say of the sabr of Hussain? Oh, come, let us learn how to live like Ali. Everyone.
To live like Ali and to die like Hussain.
To live as a servant of Allah alone. To struggle for justice until you are slain. We can never be like Hussain or Ali. So this Ya Ilahi is then our plea.
We can never be like Hussain or Ali. So this Ya Ilahi is then our plea.
So this Ya Ilahi is then our plea. Grant us the footsteps of Qambar Kumel, of Ibn Mudahir and John of Hussain. Oh, come, let us learn how to live like Ali, to live like Ali and to die like Hussain, to live as a servant of Allah alone, to struggle for justice until you are slain. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Mu'mineen and Mu'minat, before I invite Hujjatul Islam Moulana Syed Ali Aqib Jaffry to take the member a few announcements. The start time for these majalis is 5:45 p.m. and Maulana starts his speech at 6:10 p.m. sharp. We have a large selection of books outside which are not ordinarily available in Pakistan. Please do look at them and avail of the discounted prices, especially on kids' books. There is a new distributor, Al-Qissa Publications, that is distributing a very large assortment of books for kids in English and also in Urdu. They're based in Karachi, but they have sent these books and you can hopefully look at them and buy them for your children. There is a hall outside on level 2, that is this level, for parents with small children. Please use it as needed to minimize distraction and interruption for the broader audience here. We have a new arrangement for how people come into the hall, again to minimize disruption for the audience and for Maulana. We will not have entrances from this hall for men. We will have them from that door, and for women at the top. Of course, we can make exceptions for those who cannot, climb steps. So we can make accommodations, but as a rule, we will be using that entrance for the men and the top one for ladies. Please do switch off your cell phones or turn them to silent mode. As you know, there is a 10-minute question and answer session after the Noha. So after Maulana's speech, there will be Matam, and then after the Matam, there is a 10-minute question and answer session. You can ask questions from the floor, or you can send your questions on slido.com anonymously with the hashtag Muharram-2025. Sorry, # Muharram-2025. And as Maulana has requested, it would be good if you could keep your questions brief, but also keep your questions relevant to the content of the majalis. Today's majlis is sponsored by my dear friends Abdul Razak, Zafar Azam, and Zafar Masood kindly recite a Suratul Fatiha and 3 times Qul Huwallah for their marhumeen, the marhumeen of all of you and all those present here, and all those who have died in a state of devotion to the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. One important request is that some of the youth who might be, or able-bodied men and ladies who can give their space for the older attendees, please do so as a courtesy. This you can just see how the space availability is, and then offer your chairs. We will be grateful. One small point about tabarruk. We do not want these majalis to be about tabarruk, so we would like to keep tabarruk simple, and we hope that you will also cooperate with us. ये majalis tabarruk के लिए नहीं है, ये majalis ज़िक्र करबला के लिए हैं. तो अगर आप हमारे साथ इसमें ताउन फरमाएंगे तो हम बहुत इसके लिए ममनून होंगे. सल्लु अला मुहम्मद व आले मुहम्मद. I would now like to request Hujjatul Islam Moulana Syed Ali Aqib Jaffry to come and recite the 3rd Majlis in this series of 9 majalis on the topic of Quran, the solution to mankind's problems. Please welcome him with your loudest of salawats.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين سيدنا ونبينا وشفيع ذنوبنا وطبيب قلوبنا بالقاسم محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الغر الميامين المعصومين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد وخطابه المتين، وهو أصدق القائلين وقوله الحق. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. صلوات. The holy book, the miracle of the last prophet, the book of guidance. In this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is informing us about one of the important attributes of this book. Inna hadhal Quran, verily this Quran, Yahdi, guides towards that which is most upright. It guides towards that which is most upright. So this is the book of guidance. Whether you need guidance in your journey towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether you need guidance in the material world, in your journey in this world, this book will provide you with that guidance. When the Holy Prophet started his mission, one of the statements he said, Inni ji'tukum bi khayrid dunya wal akhirah. I have come to you with the best of the dunya and the akhirah. So it is not that the religion takes care of your hereafterly needs only. No. The Holy Prophet said in another statement, I have brought for my nation that is best for them. Khairud dunya wal akhirah. The best of the dunya and the akhirah. So there is no conflict between the dunya and the akhirah in this sense that you can either have your dunya or your akhirah. If you want your akhirah, you have to leave this dunya. No. Or if you want this dunya, you have to leave the akhirah. It is through this dunya that you will earn your akhirah. It is through this dunya. If you do not enter the sea, you cannot cross the shore. This world, this dunya is like the sea, like the ocean. You have to put your boat into it in order to get to your destination. This is what this dunya, and this is how this dunya has been introduced in the traditions and in the teachings, in the Quran and the traditions as well. But we need to realize that this dunya is temporal and akhirah is eternal. Wal akhiratu khayrun wa abqa. The Holy Quran says akhirah is better and everlasting. So if our framework, if our paradigm changes and we start looking at things in this manner, when people start their careers, they measure success by setting up goals for what their life would be when they retire. I would want a house and a car and these luxuries in life. So they look at what they would have when they would be 70 years old or 80 years old or 60 years old. But if you change your paradigm and you start looking at this verse and ponder about it, wal akhiratu khayrun wa abqa, then I think the parameter should not be what my life would be when I retire. It should be what my life would look like when I die. Because death is not the end of life. It is just the continuation of life, the movement of life, the transfer from one region into the other. And this needs to be reinforced again and again. In the movement of Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wassalam, he constantly talked about this dunya. At every station that he descended in his journey from Mecca to Kufa, towards Kufa, at every station that he descended, he talked about this dunya. And he talked about the akhirah. On the day of Ashur, addressing his companions, he introduced this world in this manner. He said, this world is nothing but a bridge. that takes the mu'mineen to eternal palaces and eternal gardens. And for the disbelievers, for the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this world is nothing but a bridge that takes them to prisons and to the hellfire. This is what this dunya is. That is what death is. It is a bridge that takes you based on how you have lived your life in this dunya to either hell or heaven. So in order to guide us in our journey towards heaven, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed His holy book on His holy messenger, a message that is complete in all aspects, be it social, be it individual. It is complete in all aspects. So this is such a blessing that we have before ourselves. Yet if we fail to benefit from it, our example would be like that of that lady whose son had gone abroad, and he used to send her a letter every month along with the check. And she was illiterate, so she could not understand what this check was. She thought it is another piece of paper, and my son has written something for me on this. So she would kiss the letters and the check and put it in the drawers next to her bed. And time passed by and she got sick, and eventually she could not afford to treat herself, and she died and passed away. When the neighbors came to arrange for the funeral procession, they realized that her drawer was full of checks. All those checks that she could have cashed and lived happily in this world. But she did not cash any of those checks because she did not know what these were. Each verse of the Holy Quran is a check from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Each verse that we have is a verse only if we know how to cash them, only if we know how to implement it in our lives. And if we do that, we will see that our life will become pleasant and worth living. One of the messages I'd like to talk about briefly today before moving on is the message that Prophet Shoaib brought for his nation. In Surah Hud, if you read Surah Hud and you read the translation of Surah Hud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala discusses the stories of all the previous, or most of the previous nations. Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, Prophet Hud alayhi salam, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, Prophet Shoaib alayhi salam, and the other prophets. Paragraph after paragraph after paragraph. One story ends, the next story begins. That story ends, the next story begins. And each prophet has his message for his nation. So when the story of Prophet Shoaib starts, it starts in this manner: وَإِلَىٰ مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا. We sent towards Madian their brother Shoaib. And what did he say? قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ, O my nation, اُعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُمْ مِنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ. Worship Allah. You have no Lord other than Him. The message of Tawheed. All prophets started with this message. If you look at the message of the previous prophets in this surah, again the same message. Ma min. Please write a salawat, please. Salli ala Muhammadin. उधर या उधर मेन से है, इसको हटा दिया, I think this is better.
इसको लगा दें।
وَإِلَى مَدْيَنَ أَخَاهُمْ شُعَيْبًا قَالَ, he said to his nation, يَا قَوْمِ اعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مَا لَكُمْ مِنْ إِلَٰهٍ غَيْرُهُ. مَا لَكُمْ, you do not have other than Allah any other ma'bud, which is equivalent to the same phrase that we have, La ilaha illallah, the same message. The message of Tawheed is consistent with all the prophets. And then he said, Wala tanqusul mikyal wal mizan, do not reduce the volume and weight when you are selling. Kam na kare वजन को और नापने को, volume and weight, do not undersell. Inni arakum bikhair, I see you steeped in the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I am seeing you in khair. Wa inni akhafu alaykum azab yawmin muhit, and I fear that if you engage in this sin, I fear for you the azab of the day that will engulf you. So engaging in this sin of underselling, underweighing, not selling in full measurement will result in the azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala coming to you. And that azab sometimes is not necessarily in the form of divine punishment. You will lose trust in each other, and the social fabric of your trade will fall apart. And then he says, وَيَا قَوْمِ, O my nation, أَوْفُ الْمِكْيَالَ وَالْمِيزَانِ, the same message, بِالْقِسْطِ, weigh with justice, measure with justice. And this next phrase that I want to state, this is one of the most comprehensive statements that you can find. It's called Jawami'ul Kalim, one of the statements that is extremely comprehensive. وَلَا تَبْخَسُ النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ, وَلَا تَبْخَسُ النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُمْ, कम न करें लोगों के लिए उनकी चीजें. In other words, give everyone their due right. And this is so absolute in that sense. It did not say وَلَا تَبْخَسُ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ or mu'minin, mu'minin ka unko haq kam na de. No, la tabkhasun nas, which includes Muslims, non-Muslims, everyone, humans. When you are dealing with someone, do not give them short of what they deserve. Otherwise the wrath of Allah will come. And there's so many practical applications of this. It could be, it's not only when you're buying and selling in terms of weight. When you go to the doctors and the doctor makes you wait 2 hours for your turn, he has violated this verse. When the standard is the doctor should give you 20 minutes time and he only picks 5 minutes for you and then he wants the next patient in. There is a haqq that has been lost. When you entertain people out of the queue, there is a haqq that is lost. When the teacher delivers a lesson without enough preparation, La tabkhasu nasa ashya'ahum. There are people sitting who deserve the best. And if the teacher is not well prepared or the speaker is not well prepared, you're not wasting just 1 minute of somebody. If there's 1,000 people sitting, there's 1,000 minutes that have been wasted. 1,000 minutes that have been wasted. And if we were to give the answer of all of this in the hereafter, imagine what would happen. Treating somebody out of the queue. 1,000 people in the queue and you take one person out of the queue. You've wasted 5 minutes of the entire 1,000 people. La tabkhasu nasa ashya'ahum. And he did not say, La tabkhsunasha, their way, don't undersell or underweigh or undermeasure. It says, do not reduce them of their things. Again, thing is again very comprehensive. It could include anything. The ilm that you want to give them, the time that you want to give them, the care that you want to give them, the time the husbands need to give to their spouses, the time the wives should need to give to their spouses, the time that you need to give your children, the time that siblings need to give to each other. That is a haqq. And if the balance is not maintained, then we end up in problems. And then we want solutions. The approach that Islam takes is to provide you with a system where these problems do not generate. Islam does not take a reactive approach where the problem comes up and now let us solve it. If we follow the teachings and principles of Islam, these problems will not start with to begin with. How much time should, or what is the reward that Islam, for example, mentions for a person who spends time with his spouse at home? Julusul mar'a inda ayalihi. The Holy Prophet says, Julusul mar'a inda ayalihi afzal min al-i'tikaf fi Masjid-e-Aza. Spending time with your family, the time that a man spends with his family is better than doing i'tikaf in this mosque of mine. And it did not even say talking to your family. It did not say talking to your family. Just spending time, sitting there, julusul mara, sitting with your family. And you might have noticed when one of the parents does not spend enough time with the family, after a few months, you begin to see signs of deviation in the children. You'll see that. These are the outcomes of not fulfilling the teachings of Islam. So Islam comes up with a comprehensive plan. This is one such message, and there are many other messages regarding spousal selection. We talked about counseling a few days ago, spousal selection. In the coming days, inshallah, we'll talk about that as well, because that is also one of the pressing issues today, where every individual wants to get married, or parents want to get their children married, and they're not finding suitable partners for the children. And one of the reasons that we are facing this problem is that we have a framework that is totally different than the framework Islam has proposed. Completely different. Islam says that if they are poor and they want to get married, I will make them ghani. Do not worry about how they will meet their financial challenges. And our framework is, until he does not have a house, until he does not have a car, until he's not settled, he should not get married. It's a totally different framework. Allah says, I will make them ghani. Some of the parameters that ought to be tiebreakers when it came to choosing a spouse, we have made them deal breakers. And those that were deal breakers, we have turned them into tiebreakers. When you have two individuals of the same caliber, one is more ba taqwa than the other, then taqwa is a deal breaker. If you have two families of the entire same caliber, one is ba taqwa, one is not ba taqwa, then that takes precedence. But if one is more wealthier than the other, but has less taqwa, and if you choose wealth over taqwa, then the tradition is very severe. I did not want to start this topic today, but let me recite this tradition and we'll move on. The tradition says, whoever marries a person because of her beauty will find something in her that he will hate. And if someone marries someone because of their wealth, of her wealth, that is all that he will get. And if someone marries someone because of their taqwa, because of her religion, Allah will gather the other two things in her for him. He will get wealth, he will sense beauty, and he will find taqwa. So the parameters. So if we go against the teachings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Wallahu ya'lamu wa antum la ta'lamun, Allah knows and you do not know. If we follow our own man-made restrictions and we follow them, we are going to end in trouble and problems. And then we will come to religion for a solution when it is too late. So these are the Holy Quran, and the verses of the Holy Quran are blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the problem with the blessings is that if you do not value them, you will waste them. There are certain blessings, yesterday we were talking about it, there are certain blessings that we do not value, and we realize their worth when we lose them. The Holy Prophet addressed Abu Zar saying, Ya Abu Zar, اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس. O Abu Zar, value 5 things before 5 other things. What are those? Number 1, شبابك قبل حرمك. Value your youth before your old age. Number 2, صحتك قبل سقمك. Value your health before your illness. This is another ni'mah that we tend to forget. While we are healthy, we tend to forget that this is an extremely important blessing that we have at our hands. And we waste it, and then when you become sick, then we have a long list of things that we were not able to do. Ghinak qabla faqarik. Ghina ko, abundance of wealth ko. Value the abundance of wealth that Allah has given you before you lose it, before you become poor. One of the sayings attributed to Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib, he said, life is 2 days. Yawmun lak wa yawmun alaik. One day is in your favor and one day is against you. Things don't stay the same forever. You might be living in favorable circumstances today, but not necessarily tomorrow. This is the nature of this dunya. The next thing, the next advice the Holy Prophet gave to Hazrat Abu Zar, Faragik ightanim, faragik qabla shughlik. Value your free time before it gets occupied. This is another blessing. When we have free time, we tend to waste scrolling the net. Scrolling the net. Or other things, or wasting, or sleeping. Only when suddenly we realize down there are other things that we need to look after, and then we have a long list of things that we need to do. Muhammad regarding this free time says, Al-Fursa tamurru marras sahab. The free time passes by just like the clouds pass by. Fantahizu furas al-khair. So if you get an opportunity to do good, make use of it. And another verse attributed to the Imam, he says, it's beautiful saying, he says, Ma'afat maza. That has happened, has passed. The past is past. Wama sayatika fa'ain. And that which will come, fa'ain, where is it? जो गुजर गया है वो तो गुजर गया, और जो कल आना है फ़ाइन, वो कहाँ है? Then he says, قم فاغتنم الفرصة بين العدمين. Stand up, make use of the time that you have right now. That is, what has passed, what will come is not here. You are living between two adams, between two things that do not exist, the past that has gone and the future that is not here yet. Qum, stand up. Ightanim al-fursa bayn al-adamain. Make use of the time that you have between two adams. The next, وَحَيَاتَكْ قَبْلَ مَوْتِكْ. Make use of your hayat, of your life, value your life before death takes over. These are blessings that we tend to ignore and we do not value them, and we only realize their worth when we lose them. So it is important to look at the blessings that we have and try to use them in a manner that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us to use them. One day the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he was sitting in his mosque and he was talking to his companions, and two of the companions were reciting the Holy Quran, and one of the companions, he recited this verse of the Holy Quran, Alam taraw anna Allah sakhara lakum ma fis samawati wa ma fil arz. Have you not seen, do you not see how Allah has conquered all that is there in the skies and all that is there in the earth? Wa asbagha alaykum ni'amahu, and He has perfected His blessings on you. Zahiratan wa batina, the zahiri blessings and the batini blessings. And the other Qari, he was reciting another verse, وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ, Surah Ibrahim. Remind them of the days of Allah. And those days, بِأَيَّامِ, are those days in which victory belongs to Allah in this world. The Holy Prophet stopped them and asked them this question. He said, what are those blessings that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has asked us to remember? And then he rephrased his question in this manner, Ma awwalu ni'matin. What is the first ni'mah, first blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you? And he opened the stage for the companions to speak. And some said the dunya, some said spouses, some said parents, some said religion. And the Holy Prophet turned to Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. He said, you also say something. And the Imam said, how can I say in front of the person through whom I have learned everything? In other words, how can I say something in front of my teacher? This is the adab, the honor and the respect that we ought to give to our teachers. The Imam has said, whoever taught me one thing has made me his slave. The value of a teacher. How can I speak in front of someone from whom I've learnt everything? The Holy Prophet said, well, that is true or that is right, but give me an answer. And when the Holy Prophet insisted, the Imam mentioned that the first ni'mah, the first blessing that Allah has given me is the blessing of ijad, is the blessing of khilqat, the blessing of creation. I did not exist, Allah created me. Had Allah decided not to create me, I would not have been eligible for any other blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this creation is the first and foremost blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Holy Prophet said, yes, that is right. What is the second blessing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed you with? After this blessing, the Imam replied, after this blessing, the second blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed me with is that He did not place me in the vegetative kingdom. He did not place me in the stones, in the jamadat. Rather, He placed me in the animal kingdom. God could have created us as a stone. We would be used as a brick or as an asphalt or some helping humanity in some other way. That could have happened. The Holy Prophet said, yes, that is right. What is the next blessing after the blessing of life? The Imam replied, the next blessing is that God created me in the best form, بِأَحْسَنِ تَقْوِيمٍ, the form of a human. In this manner, God could have created us as an animal, as a horse or or any other animal serving humanity. Could have happened. The Holy Prophet said, yes, that is right. What is the next blessing after this blessing of being created in this manner, in this shape? The Imam replied, is that the next blessing is that Allah created for me the zahiri and the batini, the outer and the inner senses. The five senses through which life sustains itself. Imagine what would have happened if one of your senses did not work. Some of the youth have these questions. Why is there so much pain in this world? Imagine if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decided to take away the sensation of pain. What would have happened? All doctors would be out of jobs. When do you go to the doctor? When do you go to the dentist? When you feel the pain. So by giving us the sensation of pain, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guaranteed sustainability of life. So imagine if for a moment, for 1 month you did not feel any pain, if you were walking and you stepped on a piece of nail or a piece of glass, or if you're sleeping and somebody stabbed you from the back, would you even notice? Would you even know? If there was an infection in some part of your body, would you even feel the pain? No. And by the time you would know what has happened, it would be too late. There's actually a disease in which people do not feel any pain. They lose the sense of pain. And statistics show that they do not live more than 21 or 22 or 23 years. That's when they die. So this sensation of pain is like a fire alarm in your body that tells you something is wrong in the body. So the sensation of pain in this dunya is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the next blessing, the Imam says, the zahiri and the batini senses that Allah has given us. The Holy Prophet says, yes, that is right. What is the next blessing after that? The next blessing after that is that He blessed me with aql. He blessed me with intellect. So all of the previous things were things that were necessary just before a human is formed. Senses and shape and features. And when aql comes, now you have a human who can think. The Holy Prophet said, yes, that is right. What is the next blessing? And when there is aql, what would probably be the next blessing? The Imam said, the next blessing after that is that He guided me towards haqq. Because once there is aql, guidance will be there. And he mentioned, probably here or in some other place, that wherever you will find aql, there has to be guidance. If there is life form elsewhere in this universe that we do not, and that life form has aql, there has to be guidance there by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You cannot find aql without guidance. Aql craves guidance. So the next blessing is Allah guided us through the Quran, through the prophets, through the Imams. These are blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, yes, that is right. What is the next blessing after that? After being guided to truth, the Imam said, the next blessing is that Allah created me for eternity. I did not exist. He gave me life, and now that I have life, I will live forever. But then what is death? We have death in between. What is death then? That is not the end of life. Death is not the end of life. It is the continuation of life in a bigger and a better place. You transfer from this world just like an embryo in the mother's womb. After 9 months, it moves, it leaves that world and enters into a bigger and better world. And in that embryonic life, so the birth of a child is not the end of life for that embryo. It is the end of its embryonic life and the beginning of a different life in this dunya. And in that embryonic life, what is it that the embryo has to do? It has to build his hands and the eyes and the ears and the nose. That is what it is doing over there. Is it using any of them there? He doesn't need eyes, he doesn't need lips, he doesn't need hands over there, but it has to develop them so that it can use them in this dunya. So it can be used in this dunya. And if that life creature, if that life form says that, well, I don't see any need for my hands and my ears and my nose and my lips and my ears, and I'm not going to develop them here, then for as long as it will live in this dunya, it will live a life of destitution and suffer in this dunya for as long as it lives in this dunya. Now similarly, in this dunya, you have to develop the hands and the feet and the eyes and the ears that you are going to use in the hereafter. And if someone says, I don't want to develop them because I don't see the need for doing that, then as long as you live in the hereafter, you will have to live a life of blindness and deafness and dumbness. That is why one of the verses of the Holy Quran, again pointing to this fact, says that on the day of judgment, when some people will be raised blind, they will complain, they will say, Lima hashartani a'ma. Why did you raise me as a blind person? Waqad kuntu basira. Well, I was one who could see. Allah, why did you wake me? Why did you raise me as a blind person? And what would be the response that would come? That the verses of Allah came to you and you forget them. You forgot them. In other words, you had eyes in this dunya, but you did not see. You had ears in this dunya, but you did not listen. That today the same will happen to you. You will be raised on the day of judgment. The day of judgment is the day where the reality is shown to us. The reality manifests itself. That is why one of the names of the day of judgment is Yawma Tublas Sarair. The hidden secrets within ourselves manifest themselves. So the Imam said the next blessing is that he created me for eternity. So we did not exist, Allah created us, and now we will live for eternity. That is why whenever we are standing at a crossroads where we have to choose between the dunya and the akhirah, the preferred choice is always the akhirah. That is why Imam Hussain in each and every station talked about the dunya, sallallahu ala Muhammad, talked about dunya and akhirat. Every station that when he reached Karbala on the 2nd of Muharram, one of the statements that we find, he said, An-nasu abidun dunya. People are the servants of this world. وَالدِّينُ لَائِقٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. And religion is only on their lips. People are servants of this dunya. And as long as we become servants of this dunya, there is misfortune after misfortune that will befall us. An-nasu abidud dunya. People are the servants of this dunya. وَالدِّينُ لَائِقٌ عَلَىٰ أَلْسِنَتِهِمْ. And lips, religion is only on their lips. And when the going gets tougher, قَلَّتْ دَيَّانُونَ. The religious people are only few. When it gets tougher, when life gets tougher, the religion that is on our lips, that also goes away. So the Holy Prophet says, yes, that is right. What is the next blessing after the blessing of eternity? It is Allah created me as a free person. I am not a slave to anyone. And now that Allah created us as a free person, we should continue to be free. And this is another message that Imam gave on the day of Ashura. The message of freedom. When he had fallen from his steed, there is a statement. He said, "In lam yakun lakum deen, wala takhafun al-ma'ad." If you have no religion, this was the time when he had fallen from the steed, and the enemy felt that he has passed away. He's become shaheed, and they started to go towards the tents, to loot the tents and set it on fire. Imam turned to them and said, "In lam yakun lakum deen," if you do not have religion, wala takhafun al-ma'ad, and you do not fear the day of judgment, fakunu ahraran fi dunyakum, at least be free men in your life. At least be free in your life. And Shimr turned back and said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Don't do what you're doing right now. Be free." The message of freedom is one of the messages of Ashura. It is one of the messages of the Holy Quran, that you have been created free and be free. The Holy Prophet said, yes, this is true. What is the next message? He kept on asking, and the Imam kept on giving a reply till a point came that the Imam said the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are so much, are so innumerable, that وَإِن تَحْصُوهَا وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you begin to count the ni'mats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will never be able to list it. अगर अल्लाह की नेमतों को गिनना भी चाहे कोई, तो उसको उसका ऐसा नहीं कर सकता. So all of this exercise is summarized, is paraphrased in this verse of the Holy Quran, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. And when the Holy Prophet heard this verse from Amir al-Mu'minin sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, he became happy, he smiled, and he said, कि हनी अन लक, in other words, मुबारक हो आपको ये हिकमत और ये इल्म. And then he said, فَأَنْتَ وَارِثُ عِلْمِي, you are the inheritor of my knowledge. أَنْتَ وَارِثُ عِلْمِي وَالْمُبَيِّنُ لِعُمَّتِي, and you are the one who is going to explain to this ummah all the matters in which they differ. Whenever there is a difference in the ummah, you are the one who is going to make it clear for them what is right and what is wrong. This whole exercise can be turned into a tarbiyati lesson for your own children, and somebody actually did that with his children. They played a game on the dining table, and they had food on the table, and said, let's start a game, and everybody is going to list one blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whoever cannot list a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is out of the game, and the game will continue with the other people. And they started with the food items, and the banana is a blessing of Allah, apple is a blessing of Allah, grapes are blessings of Allah. And when they had finished up with the fruits, one of them paused and they said, well, lamp is a blessing of Allah, and ceiling fan is a blessing of Allah, and this house is a blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And when they were out of these things, and he looked at his father, he said, my father is a blessing of Allah, my mother is a blessing of Allah, and they kept this. It kept on going for a while till a point came that one of the children on the table, he said, well, Baba, I think this game is never going to end. This game is never going to end. He had realized the fact, وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. It is one thing to tell them this verse, and another thing to make them realize this blessing. This is the kind of tarbiyah we need to engage in with our children. So they realize that these are the blessings, and if they realize the source of this blessing, they will come to love the source of the blessing. I'll end with this message. Allah said to Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, make my creation love me. Make my creation love me. Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam turned to Allah and said, how can I do that? I don't have control over their hearts. Habibni ila khalqi. Make my creation love me. He said, how can I do that? The answer came, Zakkirhum alai wa ni'mai. Remind them of my blessings and my ni'mats. They will love me. Another message of tarbiyah. reminding the creation of the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So one of the important blessings, or one of the most important blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Holy Prophet, and after the Holy Prophet, the divine Imams that were appointed for the guidance of humanity. So they could be the mubayyin, they could express, they could resolve the differences the communities would enter into after the Holy Prophet. This is one of the biggest blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and one of the blessings that we will be questioned about on the Day of Judgment. Yesterday we had a hadith where there would be 4 questions that would be asked on the Day of Judgment. Number 1, how did you spend your life? Number 2, how did you spend your youth? Number 3, how did you earn and where did you spend? And the 4th question that would be asked on the Day of Judgment, what did you do with the Ahlul Bayt? How did you treat the Ahlul Bayt? The Holy Prophet had already said, La as'alukum alayhi ajran. I do not ask you for any reward, any wages over what I have done, except illa al-mawaddata fil qurba, that you love the Ahlul Bayt. This is what is expected of us. Loving the Ahlul Bayt, protecting the Ahlul Bayt, fulfilling our responsibility towards the Ahlul Bayt. And this was the complaint that Imam Hussain, when he was leaving Medina, he went to the grave of the Holy Prophet and he said to the Holy Prophet, he complained to the Holy Prophet that your ummah did not fulfill their promise. Your ummah did not fulfill their responsibility of protecting and helping the Ahlul Bayt. The Imam left Medina towards Mecca. Why did he choose Mecca? He stayed in Mecca for 4 months almost. And Mecca was the center of the Muslim world. He knew the importance of spreading his message. He did not want to die in a manner where his death would be meaningless. He wanted everyone to know why he has embarked on this journey. So he chose Mecca, where people from all the different parts of the Muslim world were coming in, were pouring in, because the season of Hajj was about to start. He stayed there till Ziqad, 4 months. And when everybody would come from different parts of the world, they would ask him, why are you here? Why did you leave Medina? What has happened? Why are you not doing Bay'ah of Yazid? And he would spread his message. And after Hajj, all of these people would go back to their own cities and spread that message. It was important that the message of Karbala be spread then and today as well. The message of Karbala needs to be spread. And the medium that the Aimma chose for this message to spread are tears. Tears are the vessel which carry the message of Imam Hussain. And this is the best form of message. And no one can object to this message. Where whoever sees a gathering in which people are crying, he is forced to stop and ask, what has happened? Why are you crying? How can we help? So that was the medium that was chosen. And from Mecca, the Imam decided to move to Kufa because there were letters pouring in from Kufa. They wanted Imam to come to Kufa, and so that they could support him. 2nd of Muharram has passed by. 2nd of Muharram was when the caravan of Imam Hussain entered the land of Karbala. According to the Maqtals, when the horse of Imam Hussain entered the land of Karbala, it stopped. The Imam wanted it to move, it did not move. Imam changed his horse, the next horse also did not move. A time came when the Imam asked his companions, what is this place called? It was replied, this place is called Ghaziriya. The Imam responded, does it have another name? It is called Shati al-Furat. Does it have another name? It is also called Arz-e Karbin wa Bala, the land of grief and trial. The Imam immediately came down and said, this is where we will pitch our tents. This is the locus of grief and trial. This is where we will pitch our tent in, as if the Imam was saying that this is where our men will be slaughtered. This is where our children will be slaughtered. This is where our women will be taken captives. And when the Imam was sitting in Karbala on the soil of Karbala, on the sands of Karbala, and sharpening his sword, he recited this verse of a poet, Ya dahru uffin laka min khalilin, eh zamana uff ho teri dosti par. Lady Zainab heard these verses. She came running to the Imam. He said, oh my brother, only a person who is sure of his imminent death would recite these verses. Are you certain of your death? Imam Hussain was certain. He knew what was going to happen. He tried to pacify her by saying that nobody will live forever. The inhabitants of the earth will pass away. The inhabitants of the sky will pass away. When Lady Zainab Salamullah Alaiha heard of the death of her brother, it is said that she fainted. She fainted. Imam Hussain sprinkled water on her face. When she regained consciousness, Imam Hussain ﷺ tried to pacify her by saying the inhabitants of the earth will pass away, the inhabitants of the skies will pass away. My grandfather, our grandfather passed away, our father passed away, our mother passed away, our brother passed away. I too shall pass. I too shall pass. Lady Zainab Salamullah Alaiha could not tolerate the news of her brother's death. I imagine on the day of Ashur, this Lady Zainab, who cannot tolerate the news of her brother's death, on the day of Ashur, how would she be feeling when she saw the Imam is all alone and is in the camps of the Ahl-e Haram and is asking her sister to bring the dress that her mother had sewn for this day. बहन ज़ैनब वो लिबास जो मेरी माँ ने सिया था वो ज़रा ला दो. ज़ैनब के सलामुल्लाह अलैहा के दिल पे क्या गुजरी होगी. She brought that dress, trembling with fear. The Imam looked at her. Why are you crying, my dear sister? She said, has it ever happened that a sister is presenting a kafan to the brother? क्या कभी हुआ है कि बहन ने भाई को कफन दिया हो? Imam Hussain ﷺ placed his hands on her chest, trying to pacify her once again, trying to advise her of patience. And then when he leaves the camp towards the enemy, the Imam had to position himself in a certain manner. When the other companions went to fight, they fought in a different manner. They would charge and break through the ranks and enter into the depths of the enemies, because they knew that the Imam is in the camp. There is someone in the camp to protect the women. But when Imam went out to fight, he knew there is no one in the camps to protect the women. So he had to position himself in a manner that he would always be between the camps and the enemy, and he would fight from there, and he would also raise his voice every once and then, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, trying to inform the women in the camps that Hussain is still alive. Till a time came that Maula Hussain ﷺ fell down from his horse. He fell down from his horse. The enemy thought that Imam Hussain has become martyred, and instead of turning to Imam Hussain, they started to go towards the tents of the Ahl-e Haram. Imam Hussain realized that the enemy is moving towards the Haram. Imam Hussain tried to lift himself. He tried to lift himself by pressing on one knee, but he could not do that. He cried towards Shimr. He called out to Shimr saying, In lam yakun lakum deen wala takhafun al-ma'ad, if you have no religion and you do not fear the day of judgment, fakunu ahraran fi dunyakum, at least be free people in this dunya. Shimr turned to Imam Hussain and asked, what do you mean? He said, what I mean is that these women have nothing to do with you. Your fight is with me. As long as I am alive, do not turn towards the tents. Shimr said to his comrade, he said, Imam Hussain is saying the right thing. Let us finish him first, and then we will go towards the tents.
They gathered around the Imam, and this was the scene that Lady Zainab Salamullah Alaiha was seeing at a distance. I wonder what happened on her heart, how she could see this scene, and she had to raise her voice. She cried out, Alaysa fikum Muslim? Is there no Muslim among you? Are you all Christians or Jews? Is there not a single Muslim in this gathering? Then she turned towards Ibn Sa'd, Umar ibn Sa'd, and she said, Yabna Sa'd, ayuqtal Abu Abdullah wa anta tanzuru ilayh? Is Imam Hussain going to be martyred and you're not going to do anything? Yes, he was not going to do anything, but he could not respond. The riwayat says, the tradition says, that Umar ibn Sa'd turned his face away from Lady Zainab and started to cry.
Ala lanatullahi ala al-qawm al-zalimin.
Ya Hussain, 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 Ya Hussain. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah Ali Waliullah Wasiyu Rasulillah Wasiyu Rasulillah La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah Ali Waliullah Wasiyu Rasulillah Wasiyu Rasulillah. Said our Mawla unto Walid, cannot give bay'ah to Yazid.
Said our Mawla unto Walid, cannot give bay'ah to Yazid.
He is the lowest of the low, we where the angels come and go.
He is the lowest of the low, we where the angels come and go.
La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah Aliyun Waliyullah Wasiyu Rasulillah Wasiyu Rasulillah. Oh my helpers, oh my kin, leaving me will bring no sin.
Oh my helpers, oh my kin, leaving me will bring no sin.
They said, Mawla, we are few, but we live and die for you.
They said, Mawla, we are few,
but we live and die for you. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah Aliyun Waliullah Wasiyu Rasulillah Wasiyu Rasulillah. When Mawla said, oh my son, Akbar, your moment has come.
When Mawla Fatima said, "Oh my son, Akbar, your moment has come.
Let your faith and courage show, let these coward heathens know.
Let your faith and courage show,
Let these coward heathens know. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyun
Waliyullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah.
O my lions of Ja'far, O my Qasim and Asghar,
O my lions of Ja'far, O my Qasim and Asghar.
if not for your martyrdom, this battle would not be won.
If not for your martyrdom, this battle would not be won. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyun Waliyullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah.
Oh, will you come back, Abbas? There is no one crying Pyas.
Oh, will you come back, Abbas? There is no one crying Pyas.
In this airy land unknown, are you leaving us alone?
In this airy land unknown, are you leaving us
alone? La ilaha, everyone. La Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyun Waliyullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah. See this dagger on my neck, this is my moment of death.
See this dagger on my neck, this is my moment of death.
Hear my Shia far away, hear it, hear your Mawla say.
Hear my Shia far away,
Hear it, hear your Mawla say. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyun Waliyullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah. With every beat, every breath, O Allah, until my death. With every beat, every breath, O Allah, until my death. If I die olden or young, keep this kalima on my tongue. If I die olden or young, keep this kalima on my tongue. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Aliyun Waliyullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah, Wasiyu Rasulullah, wa khalifatuhu bila fasl. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Tawajjah ziyarat. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah. Assalamu alayka ya ibn Rasul.